Hello, and welcome to another episode of PodcastDX, the show that brings you interviews with people just like you, whose lives were forever changed by a medical diagnosis. I'm Lita.
I'm Jean Marie. Unfortunately, Ron will not be joining us today.
Collectively, we're the hosts of PodcastDX. On today's show, we are speaking with Sandra
And Julia,
yes, from the Cure Cancer at UCL Cancer Institute charity, which supports the University College London Non-Hodgkins Lymphoma Cancer Research Division. Welcome to the show, Sandra and Julia.
Hi. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. I'm Sandra from Cure Cancer at UCL Cancer Institute, and I have with me today my girlfriend Julia, who helps me.
Say hello, Julia.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Thanks.
We got to get you in there too.
Well,
Yes, I'm here.
well, we really appreciate you both taking the time to speak with us today because this is a very important topic, and we appreciate everything that you guys are doing. I understand, Sandra, that you are the founder, chairperson, and a trustee of the Cure Cancer at UCL Cancer Institute charity. Can you tell our listeners what exactly your charity does?
Yes, we at Cure Cancer buy and install the latest state-of-the-art medical equipment for the research team at UCL Cancer Institute with the help of a company, MidMeds, that researches the best possible price for us. We are blessed as our researchers straddle two worlds, one of the research and one of the doctor/professor. This means they can take the knowledge they have gleaned in their research and tailor-make individual treatments for the patients that they look after at UCLA.
Oh,
Wow.
that's great.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That's great. Sandra, I read that non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is of particular interest to you. You've been battling this disease for how long now?
Well, it took 3 years for an incorrect diagnosis back 2007, as I kept going to the doctors with 6 or 7 regular complaints. I complained of dry, itchy skin and eyes, heart palpitations, constipation, exhaustion, lumps under my arm that came and went, panic attacks, and unquenchable thirst, which remains with me today.
Oh.
When they changed the diagnosis from Hodgkin's to non-Hodgkin's, I was only given 7 months to live. My dad had a very similar strain, but was chemotherapy resistant, and the average lifespan once diagnosed is around 17 months.
Oh, wow. Sandra, what exactly is non-Hodgkin's lymphoma?
Well, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, also known as NHL, it's a cancer that starts in the white blood cells called lymphocytes,
Okay.
which are part of our immune system. It affects around 15,000 people each year in the UK, mostly under the age of 30,
Oh.
with around 6,000 dying within this time frame.
Oh, that's
my
terrible.
gosh.
And Sandra, what treatments have you received to try to combat this disease?
Well, the thing is, treatments may include chemotherapy, radiation therapy, stem cell transplants, or medications such as pills.
Okay.
In my case, I started with a golden bullet called rituximab and was lucky enough to get on the trial at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Rituximab is a chemical therapy that surrounds the cancerous cells and helps the body to try and kill off those cancerous cells.
Oh, cool.
Since then, every 6 months, the cancer will be on the move again. So I've had to try each time a new different cocktail. It's like baking a cake. It can take a while to perfect the recipe.
Oh.
Actually, Sandra, maybe listeners might like to understand that chemotherapy is not necessarily only one cocktail. It often is, for example, rituximab with vincristine. Everyone's treatment is different based on their age, height, weight, and fitness.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No.
So it is tailor-made then.
Yeah.
No, sorry, you misunderstand still. It is very difficult. The word chemotherapy is chemical therapy, but people latch onto the word chemo as one thing. And as Julia explained, it's a mixture.
Okay.
You now have several layers. The rituximab company, basically MAB therapy, they're now calling it. So any chemical therapy that you see on the market with the ending MAB is a specific therapy called MAB therapy.
Okay.
Vincristine is still, to my knowledge, the most vicious of all the chemotherapies.
Okay.
That's one that takes your hair out.
Okay.
So rituximab, in my case, I literally could fall asleep whilst walking. It was quite funny and frightening at the same time. So in my case, it culminated in stem cell therapy back 2015, when they said I should have a reprieve for 7 years, if it even worked.
And you said that some of them just made you like sleepy or tired or exhausted. Were those treatments hard on you otherwise, physically, emotionally? And what has helped you get through these treatments? And how have you been able to maintain such a positive attitude and get so much done?
Well, to me, in life, you have two choices. You fight to survive or roll over and die. And in the aftermath of stem cell treatment, it's not easy to have cancer eradicated in you. It means 24 hours of chemo a day, with 1 hour if I was lucky to have wash. And that was also if I had the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes as much as 2 chemo cocktails at one time would be infused before they could even harvest my cells. In my case, they used my own stem cells, which took 6 odd hours to harvest, and then start the stem cell process, which can then take up to 6 months. And for the last 3 weeks of my cells being given back to me, I was ulcerated from my eyes all the way to my rectum. So I couldn't even eat or drink.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That's very difficult, yeah.
Yes, and after this, I had issues with my lungs, stomach and heart, which they threatened me with a heart transplant, which 4 years on, I'm just getting to grips with.
Yeah, I would imagine. Do you have support besides your friend Julia there? Do you have family that can help you through this process?
Yes, I'm very lucky. My husband's been like a personal bouncer as he fields off my phone calls and visits. My daughter's my rock, and she's there to remind me to stop worrying about myself and realise there are others far worse off. And that brings me back to reality. I am alive. My daughter also deals with the charity accounts. Then there's my mum, who, bless her, has had to watch her husband, then her daughter, receive this diagnosis. No parent should go through that.
No.
You're right.
Yeah.
I had Sappy Films follow me throughout my treatment from diagnosis to conclusion, and this has never been done before, not as in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
I felt it important that everyone understands what will happen and what to expect.
That's great.
Yeah, for me, knowledge helps lessen the fear of not knowing.
Absolutely.
My girlfriend Julia, that you've spoken with, has come on board to be there on a day-to-day basis to help run our charity and events.
God bless her.
It's hard, very hard.
Yes.
Each year, the research team asks for ever larger and more complex pieces of equipment, and all my friends that help on the day of the events.
Oh, that's wonderful.
For example, Robin Noakes from Open by Nature Limited kindly donated his time to design us a brand new interactive website.
Oh.
Really would love people to help do their bit by hosting a walk, a tea, a kids' afternoon party, or by donating £1 a week to help generate funds, or just come to an event and spread the word. I understand we all lead busy lives, but have learnt that if you want something done, you ask a busy person. And also, could you ask people to watch my YouTube video? You can see the film that Sassy Films made.
Absolutely.
We'll include that on our website and our social media accounts.
Right. And for our non-European listeners, if they want to donate £1 a week, I mean, I would love to donate £1 a week because I gained a couple of pounds this winter. But but what she means is like $1 a week. Yes,
$1 a week?
yes. Sandra and Julia are in London, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to donate £1 a week, though. Really.
Money is money in any currency.
Yes,
Sure.
yes.
Sure.
A little bit helps.
You mentioned in your contact, the email that you contacted us, that the financial burden for a disease like cancer can be difficult.
Oh, difficult is an understatement. When having treatment, I couldn't work, and nor could my husband. And so it happens a lot. But you can't be afraid. You've got to ask for help. Otherwise, it can be such a financial strain on the whole family.
Yeah, it sounds like that's
Understands.
Yeah, very understandable and extremely difficult, as it is for many cancer patients. Sandra, I can appreciate the great deal of effort it must have taken for you not only to go through your treatment and handle the diagnosis and everything, but also to take the time to create a charity when you're dealing with everything else that's going on. What inspired you to undertake this endeavor?
Well, my father passed away within 17 months of being diagnosed, and we realised the researchers need equipment as they rely heavily on private donations and small charities like ours in the UK.
Okay. That's
Right.
wonderful.
Right. I find it admirable that you can take on such a challenge when you yourself are fighting this horrible disease. Julia, could you tell us a little bit more about the Cure Cancer at UCL Cancer Institute fundraising events that you've hosted and maybe some that are coming up?
Absolutely. Well, firstly, Thursday just gone, we had an extremely successful supper quiz in the evening, and that was hosted by CCS Insurance, and we raised an amazing £9,000 from that evening.
Wow.
Check out the short video on Facebook. If you look on Facebook, Cure Cancer has the grey and pink heart logo, so you don't get confused with any other charities that are slightly different. Then coming up this Sunday, which is Easter Sunday, we have another sold out event. It's an Easter egg hunt, and we hope to have lots of fun and raise a lot more money from that also. We have another fantastic event coming up. It's a family dog walk on Sunday, the 12th of May, and that is being hosted by Aldenham Social Club in Radlett. Tickets are still available for this and can be booked on our website, which is www.curecancer-ucl.org.
Can I interject? I forgot to mention, we have a gentleman called Dima Jeremenko. He's Britain's version of Caesar Milan, who's your dog whisperer.
Right.
He will be at our event. He also he came second at Britain's Got Talent a couple of years ago with one of his rescue dogs.
Oh, nice. I think I saw that show.
Yeah, she
Yes.
loves,
I love those. I love following that show.
Yeah.
And if you love running and would like to take part in the Hyde Park Half Marathon for our charity on Sunday, the 13th of October, you can go on our website to find out more information. And finally, we have our annual clairvoyant evening at the Village Hotel in Elstree on the 7th of November. And tickets are available for that on our website also.
So you'll have a medium there?
We actually have an amazing lady called Sarah Leslie who heads it up, and she is an internationally known clairvoyant and medium.
Wow.
Maybe we should go to London in November.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's an absolutely fantastic evening, and that is so popular. We always sell out for that every year. Yes.
Oh,
Very good.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are doing.
I hope everybody will be able to book tickets and come along to our event.
Yes,
absolutely.
And I will put links for all of these events on the page for this episode on our website too.
Yep.
Fantastic.
And we'll put notifications on social media the day before. It sounds like your fundraising has been extremely successful and a lot of fun. What are your future plans for the charity?
Well, we want to continue raising awareness and to meet the Prime Minister of the UK to explain the benefits of making sure that the Institute has the latest equipment to work with. We want to explain to the government how much time and resources they could make by saving money and installing the correct research equipment and not put people through unnecessary treatments.
Sure.
Definitely. It sounds like you have the same type of a government backlog as we do, huh?
Yeah, the national health system.
Well, the issue that we've got here in the UK is because they don't have sufficient equipment in hospitals at the cancer specialist units, they don't want to turn people away. They need to give them treatment. So they basically, like I was explaining earlier, throw chemotherapy at them. But if the hospitals themselves had research equipment, specifically Cytoff, which bought many years ago, it has the ability to take one cancer cell and subdivide it into 7 slithers. The machine itself actually can recognize a cancerous cell. It's amazing. And then what they do is they treat the different chemotherapies to the one cell.
Okay.
So the person doesn't go through the treatment, the cell goes through the treatment.
Got it.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it might be more worrying to the patient like myself, which a lot of my time I had to sit and watch and wait till the cancer got bad enough, which normally took 6 months in my case. But if I'd known that I didn't have to have those treatments, I'd have rather sat and waited.
Oh, sure.
Wow, that's amazing. I never knew that. We have never interviewed anyone, I don't think, regarding any cancers, correct? This is the first one?
Well, please God you invite us again, and I'll bring Dr. Rajiv Gupta.
Yes, I read about him online.
Yes, well, he will come quite happily. He's made it clear. And so would Tarek come and sit and do another podcast.
Great. That's wonderful. Yeah, we just hit our 1 year milestone podcasting.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, we're pretty happy. And we've had a bang up year, really. And we're going to just keep trying to do as much as we can to help other people learn as much as they can. And that's exactly why we need people like you. And if you could bring the doctor on board, we'll do another one. Sure.
That would be lovely. You just need to tell us when we'll be there.
Okay. Sandra, what advice do you have for somebody that was, let's say, recently diagnosed, hasn't gone through any of the treatment yet, they just got the diagnosis?
Well, for any cancer diagnosis, take a pen, a pad, paper, and a friend, because you'll only hear half of what's said. And never remember to ask the questions that float in your head, as the fear just takes over and you just can't think straight.
Oh, sure.
My husband heard nothing past your wife will be dead in.
Oh.
He never heard any of the rest of the conversation. He completely lost it by then.
Oh, wow. Well, Sandra, how can people learn more about you and the amazing work that you're doing with the Cure Cancer at UCL Cancer Institute?
Well, this is the most important thing for us. If people can just go to our website, www.curecancer-ucl.org, join in an event, or just set up a regular donation. As I said, even £1 a week can make such a difference. Or in your case, $1 a week.
There you go. I'm going to get on there and I'm going to do it. And I hope our listeners will follow suit.
And that would be brilliant. And if you can ask your listeners or tell your listeners, just to let them know that 100% raised at any of our events goes direct to the cause. We here at Cure Cancer at UCL all work on a voluntary basis.
That's excellent.
Wow.
Excellent. Sandra, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
And thank you, Julia.
And Julia. Yes, thank you.
No, thank you very much, ladies. Really appreciate you allowing us. And also, I think I mentioned before, but just to remind the listeners, if they want to get a better understanding of stem cell treatment, Sassy Films took 1 year out to follow me around. So basically, from the day I was diagnosed, actually within the office of my oncologist,
Wow.
through to having my port put in my arm, explaining the procedures, meeting the doctors, the nurses. It is a vast, vast knowledge of understanding, because there are so many different variables. You have to have the ports in, you've got to see a psychotherapist, you've got to go to the hospital, you have to have so many tests. I hope it will give you clarification.
Yes.
If people
I will
watch
put that
video.
I'll put that link for that website or for that YouTube on our page also, so that they can go to it.
And right, and as you had said before, Sandra, knowledge can help reduce the amount of fear that you have.
And stress.
And the stress that you have, because you have a better understanding of what's happening.
Totally. And we are always here. I can't say 24/7 because I'm a bad sleeper and I literally love my bed. But anybody can send me an email and I will, or Julia will respond at literally the minute we wake up.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And try and give people some help. Or we're here just to listen.
That's great. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, thank you both for joining us today. And we look forward to watching you guys continue to grow and to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd love to meet you if you come to the UK. Just let us know.
Write it off.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we also add, if it's possible, would you ask people to like our website?
Sure.
We're trying
Jean?
to gain awareness.
Yes.
It costs nothing,
Right.
but just hit the little thumbs up, and then that way, by getting likes, their friends will realise they've liked, and if they then in turn, and it just gets our name out there.
Okay.
And understand what we're about.
Right.
And what
Spread
we're
the
doing.
word. Right.
Yeah. Bear in mind, just because we're in London and you're in the US of A, it makes absolutely no difference, because the understanding that UCL have with us is we said to them, any results they get, any breakthroughs they get, have to be shared with the world. It can't be kept to themselves like a lot
of course. Right.
Consequences are it would help your patients, it will help people in any country, in any world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, if our listeners have any questions or comments related to today's show, they can contact us at podcastdx@yahoo.com, through our website, podcastdx.com, on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or Instagram.
Moment to spare, please give us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. As always, please keep in mind that this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regime. And never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast.
Till next week.